got a T-shirt with bloodstains all over it. Maybe laundry isn't your biggest problem right now.
I remember the day the candle shop burned down. Everybody just stood around and sang happy birthday.
And the security guard came over and said, "You're gonna have to move. You're blocking the fire exit." As though if there was a fire, I wasn't gonna run.
You make love to the right woman, Johnny, is beautiful, beautiful. I mean, the last time I made love to my wife, it was ridiculous. Nothing was happening. I looked at her, I said, "What's the matter? Can't you think of anyone either?"
I never learn, you know, like a waitress will bring my meal. "Hey, enjoy your meal, you too!" But you don't have one, do you? I'm a doofus. If you do eat, enjoy it when you eat it. If you have a break or something later, if you get an opportunity, that's all I'm trying to say. That's all that I'm driving at, really.
Hello, welcome to Comedy Think Tanked, a podcast with Leonard Kimball and Nick Gordon, two comedians who know how to take a drink and have a thought. Sit back, get comfortable, and enjoy. Now, whether they're ready or not, here's your hosts, Leonard and Nick.
Hello and welcome to the Comedy Think Tanked podcast. I'm Nick Gordon with Leonard Kimball.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Good.
Oh, so good?
So good.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
So good. Are you tanked yet?
I'm a little bit tanked.
Nice.
I'm hanging out at Crap Brew Underground.
Sad for 6:20 on a Wednesday.
Little peek behind the curtain. Our listeners there. Actually, it's Saturday at 11 p.m.
Yes. It's dark enough down here to be that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's new with you?
Let's see. I've been doing a lot of business networking.
And I appreciate that. I really do.
Yeah, it's fun. I used to do it before when I was a IT consultant.
Yeah.
And it was part of my job.
Yeah.
And now I figure I'm still in the same community, so I might as well do it as part of my job, my other job.
Your more fun job.
Yeah, it's certainly more fun.
Yeah.
Of running the River Comics. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So it's busy work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of shaking hands and smiling at people and
kind of like running for mayor.
Yeah. People have asked me to run for mayor.
Well, maybe you should.
Yeah.
But anyway, you did a meeting this morning, and you had to give a speech. How did that go?
Yeah, I'm in a business networking group, and I gave a speech, and it was like a 10-minute presentation. I wrote like little bullet points, and I made a PowerPoint. And I've never actually built a PowerPoint.
When is it that a PowerPoint becomes powerful? Is what I want to know. At what point is it powerful?
Well, I got my point across. People laughed, and
powerful.
people appreciated what I was doing. So yeah, I mean, I'm an IT guy, but I've never actually made a PowerPoint.
That's so weird. You invented PowerPoint, but yet you can't.
It's like
I always struggle with just the when it gets to slideshow mode. Like, how do I get it to the next slide? It makes me nuts. Like, because I think it really is just clicking next slide, right?
Yes. Oh my God. What I discovered was the animation of like how to bring in pictures. Because all I did was just have a bunch of pictures in each slide, and I could make the clicker make that picture just sort of appear on the stage on the slide, and it sort of swoops in. And it was fantastic.
Not to get too far afield, but I was at a conference one time for my real job, and somebody was giving a presentation, and part of the PowerPoint shifted over to a porn video. And
really?
And I feel as though that's a common story that happens in more than people would like to admit.
What? No, it's not.
I feel like it should be. I mean, you're on your computer, you're in the hotel room, no one else is around. You're like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? Oh, I know.
I guess
but then how it gets into someone's PowerPoint.
Could go work out.
It could go work out, yeah. Do you find that as an actual...
Yes.
Like you...
Thank you very much. Yeah, every time I go to a hotel, actually,
You jerk off?
No.
Oh, you use the gym. You use the gym.
Yes. Like no matter what the weather is, I always bring like, athletic shorts and sneakers and t-shirts and stuff like that to use the actual gym.
You don't pack lightly. How many times have you gone on a trip to a hotel and not used the gym, not worked out? What percentage?
Well, lots. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Since
Since becoming an adult.
Yeah, I was gonna say during my adult life. Let's see. Not used the gym. Like assuming a gym existed. First of all.
Sure,
Okay.
of course.
Okay. Percentage wise, not used the gym. I say, if I'm honest, 50%.
Okay.
50%.
Would you have more fun on the other 50% of your trips if you just didn't bring your gym clothes and just like went?
No.
You wouldn't? Oh,
No,
okay.
actually, no.
All right,
No. I actually like working out. It
Yeah, no,
sucks.
I do too. I
don't
agree.
do it.
I
don't
like
do it
breaking
enough.
a sweat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. That's part of my real life persona.
Yeah.
Like I do enjoy working out. I do enjoy being quasi-athletic. I've never been super athletic growing up, but like that's who I am. But I don't think I bring that to the stage necessarily. There's a comedian out in San Francisco, and if he ever comes back to Maine, Chad Opitz is his name.
Oh, okay.
And he's very physical on stage. Like he does a fucking somersault during one of his bits.
Jesus.
It's insanity.
Okay.
And I saw him a few years ago at Bull Feeney's, and he did that, and we're all just sitting there going like, "What the hell is this? Is this how comedy's supposed to be performed, San Francisco? My goodness!"
We got to stretch or something.
Yeah, no, and he's not. I mean, he looks similar to us. Like he's not super athletic.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna do a weigh-in after this. No, but there's a difference, right, between who you are as a person, who you are on stage, and who you are on social media. And our guest today, Lloyd Sharp.
Yep.
I can't think of all his nicknames that he calls himself.
The Legacy.
The Legacy, and there was something else. Shoot, sorry, Lloyd.
Those are like hashtags or like.
Yeah, he's got all these different things though going, but that's who
respect the ladies.
Yeah, that's who he is in real life though. Like he's posting about it on Instagram and Facebook like continuously. I don't think the guy has ever had a real job in his life according to social media. Mm-hmm. But he's doing that on social media. He's actually doing it in real life. He's like, that's who he is in real life. And then that's who he is on stage. Like it all melds together amazingly. Whereas most of us are just like, an IT guy during the day or me or someone's a...
Yeah, the first time I met him face to face was a show I think we booked him on here at Crapper Underground. And when he got here crazy early, because of bus schedules or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm chatting with him, and I was like, oh, he sounds like who he is, like what I listened to of his clip or whatever, or like an Instagram. Like, yeah, that's him. That's Lloyd.
He's true
and then he gets
to
on
himself.
stage, and he's like, oh yeah, he's still the same guy. That's like it seems like a continuation of the conversation I had with him 15 minutes before he got on stage.
That's a pretty unique attribute to have. As a person in real life and as a comedian, to like be able to be consistent like throughout, and how liberating that must be.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I have jobs where I don't want people. I don't do this. I'm not the same persona.
Yeah.
At work as I am on stage. I
100%.
I try to joke sometimes at work, but like.
Gets you in trouble.
I'll get a laugh, but sometimes you're like, oh, no, we don't want to joke about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I realistically at my job, like I really do try to keep to myself. Yeah. And in the past, I let out too much of my own personal life, and it wasn't good. So, now it's like, okay, I'm going to keep everything close to the vest, and I'm not going to give you the Nick that I give you on stage or the Nick that I give you as a friendship that you and I have, or in a relationship or anything like that. Like, that's just not going to happen. I mean, I guess it stands to reason. That makes sense.
I guess so. It's about like whether or not you need those worlds bleeding into each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't necessarily need.
No.
I mean, I want our business to be successful.
Sure.
So I occasionally invite people from work to our shows.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily need them to think of me as a comedian.
No.
Right.
No. And I think maybe it's better off that they don't. But at the same time, there are some people that treat this like a job as well as, their real job. And
well, it is a job.
It is a job.
Yeah. I was just telling my wife the other day. she gave me a little bit of crap about like my speech much time doing comedy stuff or business networking and everything. And I said like, well, it is a job. It's my other job.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, is it though?
There is money being exchanged.
I'm like, yes.
And you know, the other,
Yes.
aside from the money, there are people who count on us to have this space and to have these shows. And you know.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things I brought up in my networking group. I talked about what are the ways we're different from other comedy production companies, and I said we give stage time to people who are amateur and semi-professional comedians who may not get other stage time elsewhere.
Sure.
And we're still booking legitimate national headliners at the same time, but like they might not have a chance to perform.
Yeah.
If it weren't for the shows we're doing around the area.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's fun. I mean, it's not we're not making anybody rich. We're not getting rich from it either.
That's for sure.
I know. But it's so much fun, and it's a small business that like I'm so happy that we started together.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I love what we're doing, and I love the laughs that we're bringing to people.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Whether or not they're true to themselves on stage or off, or
right,
vice versa.
Yeah,
it's fun to watch, and it's fun to be a part of. And I enjoy people like Lloyd.
Yes,
I really do. I'm so happy to have been able to meet someone like him and others too. That it's like, wow, these are great people, and there's no other way I would have ever run into them or come cross paths with them. Aside from comedy and what we're doing here, so
right,
it's a pretty good thing, regardless of anything. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with that, let's send it over to our interview with Lloyd Legacy Sharp.
Thank you, everyone. All right. Well, welcome to the Comedy Think Tank podcast. We're here interviewing our guest today, known as, among other things, Respect the Ladies, Lloyd Legacy Sharp, the human cartoon, Mr. Lloyd Sharp himself. Welcome, Lloyd.
Hello.
Hi.
It's good to have you. What's going on?
Well, I was asked to do a podcast for Think Tank Crew / River Comics / Maynards. And I'm like, that's worth getting to Maine around 5 p.m. on a Friday night.
Is it tough to get here from Boston on a Friday night?
It's not as tough as it would be if I was driving.
Yeah, that's true. You would have to leave at
That's
5
the fun
a.m.
part.
Yeah.
Okay. Just
Like-
you taking a bus?
Yeah, I took the bus straight from South Station.
Okay.
So letting them deal with the headache is just like, it's better.
That is nice.
That's cool.
That's actually a true thing. I mention it often in my stand-up that I don't own a car because I don't live in Dorchester anymore. If I lived in Dorchester, there'd be a place to park it. They steal it, but there's parking. I do live in the South End where there is legitimately no way to park. And the way I get around now is a lot easier than trying to own a car in that neighborhood.
Saves you money, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And on a comedian's salary.
Yes, it's important to budget.
That's the first question I have for you. Is comedy your job? Because it seems like from social media, comedy might be your job because you post, I don't know, every 35 seconds or so.
Well, comedy is not my job.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I am the information center of a lot of the groups. So I am, whenever I find something that I feel might be relevant, I try to share it out. I actually post more in the comedy groups than I do on my own page.
Yeah.
Which is
That's probably why I see it, because we're all in like these comedy groups and whatnot. And so it seems like it's very ubiquitous, but
right. And if you look at my actual page, it's like Lloyd said something 5 hours ago. Is he alive?
Where's Lloyd?
But no, I've been doing comedy for 5 years, and how many months until June? 5 years and 10 months, I think.
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I particular because you haven't done 6 years unless it's the exact day. So no, 5 years and until June.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'm gonna say, and it's not something that I am paid for very often, and that's okay because I don't do this to get paid. If I did, I wouldn't be doing it. Pay is a luxury at this point, but it's like I'm not like that full time, headlining. I'm not there yet, and that's okay because I have a life outside of comedy that I'm not ready to abandon for comedy.
Yeah.
Just ever.
But if you could, would you?
For this, I mean, I'd give more time.
Yeah.
But abandon family and friends and playing Michael Jackson in New Hampshire for an entertainment business that's all about the business more than the actual entertainment factor, which is why people like me wouldn't get ahead. No, I'm good.
Okay.
That's fine.
So
So you play Michael Jackson.
I was just going to say, let's not gloss that over. And since you brought it up, and we'll get back to the comedy talk because it is the Comedy Think Tank podcast. We'll get back to more.
The shades are going on. You know, this is an audio podcast, right?
I do. Okay. Now it just feels right. It feels
Okay.
wrong.
There you go. All right.
Okay.
Tell us about being Michael Jackson.
So for those who are listening, which is all of you because it's audio, Lloyd just put his shades on and is now in full mood.
For the record.
Yeah. So there's this Michael Jackson attraction act that I've been doing in New Hampshire since 2017.
Wow.
And and as of this year, I now also do it in Boston on certain nights at the Midway Cafe during karaoke. Certain nights, not every Thursday, because sometimes I have things to do.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know. I said 5 years, like 5 years now. I said day one to the DJ and head bartender who co-conspired to create this thing. I'm like, this isn't going to last, you know. It's going to be dead. It's going to be dead on arrival. This is not going to last a week.
Okay.
It didn't last a week. It lasted 5 more years.
Jeez.
I'm actually doing it a week from today for the first time since December on the 29th. Okay, so here's how it happened.
Yeah, describe the act.
Here's
also.
how it happened. So I've been doing Michael Jackson as a dancing style since 1994. And it's something I did for exercise when I was younger, and it's something I just enjoyed doing. It got me outside. It saved me a lot of money on Planet Fitness memberships by actually just doing that every day instead of going to the gym. And so in 2017, one day I did a little dance during, I was doing You Rock My World. And I did a little dance number in the middle of it, and the owner apparently saw and like, hey, that kid's got some energy. He's got some presence there. We should get him to lean into that. And so for the next for the next couple of months, like the staff and the band was like, hey, Lloyd, man, you want to. It sounds weird the way I'm going to say it, but they didn't mean it like this.
Nope.
All right, what did they say?
They didn't say, do you want to do a little more dancing for us? They didn't say that. They didn't say that.
Okay.
But the general consensus of what they were trying to do was get me to lean into more of that entertaining performer thing that they saw me do during You Rock My World in the summer. And I'm like, I'm just another karaoke person. I'm like everybody else. Don't exalt me. Don't make me special. Don't do that. If I want to do a dance or whatever, I'll do a dance because I want to, because it's my right, this isn't the 40s. And but if I do it, I want to do it because it's fun, not because I want to be seen as more than. So here comes our Halloween. Head bartender, Ben Kelly. Hi, Ben, if you're listening. Says, hey, Lloyd, I got a costume for you. I wanted you to compete in the contest. I'm like, okay, what costume is it? Well, we got a glove and it's a hat. And I'm like, oh, what is it? What are you trying to do? I'm like, no, nothing. We just want you to compete in the contest. Are you sure that's all you want? We're positive that's all we want, Lloyd. So I go into the contest, and there's videos of this night online, and I should have known by the reaction that I got that it was probably not going to die that night. But I'm like, this is not. It was fun. I enjoyed it, sure. But it can't last. It cannot last. I'm glad. I appreciate you doing that, and I know what you were trying to do. Oh, if Lloyd performs in a costume, he'll see that the people are into it, and then he's going to want to hashtag give the people what they want, which is a rule of mine. They didn't say that. I found out later that's exactly what happened. The head bartender and Ben himself all came clean. Yep, that's what we did. We were trying to get you to lean into it, but that's how it started. And 5 years later, it's still a thing.
So they tricked you into it essentially, or did you secretly want to?
I knew what they were doing, but once I saw how the crowd reacted, I knew that it wasn't a crazy idea. They were into it. They actually liked it. So I knew that it was good for the room, and I love entertaining, so I didn't mind it. I just didn't think it was going to last beyond that night. But then, and I said that before I did Billie Jean and Thriller in the gimmick, and then I heard the crowd reaction, And people are already saying, when is this coming back? When is this coming back? And I'm like, okay, I get it. So they didn't trick me into it. I already knew what they were doing, but I didn't think it was going to last until I figured out that it would. It somehow lasted past everything, including the documentary.
The what now? The documentary?
Yeah, remember that whole thing that came out? I
thought they made a documentary about you.
No, they didn't. No. I actively tried to kill the gimmick around the time that came out. Now, obviously, things have come out about that documentary since that it's kind of delegitimized it. But at the time, it's like, I don't want to bring bad press to this building. And so I come in as myself. First thing somebody says, "Where's Michael? Where's Michael?" I'm like, have you watched HBO? Do you know who Oprah is? No. Where's Michael? Where's Michael? I'm like, oh, okay, New Hampshire, you do live free or die. Cool, fair, and it's still a thing.
Interesting.
So that's my other on stage life.
Yeah.
So that's giving the people what they want.
Yes.
Okay.
And I didn't know how bad they wanted it until they got it.
And that was before or after you started doing comedy?
That was after I started, actually.
Okay.
I actually got better. I was good at that before I was good at comedy.
All right.
I didn't get my first comedy gig until about a year and a half after Michael Legacy Jackson debuted.
Okay.
When you were performing as Michael Jackson, did you do any jokes or did you stay true to the character?
Yeah, Michael Legacy Jackson, which is what the other persona is known as now, and me as the comedian, two different things. I do my best to keep Michael. I mean, I did bring it to Midway Cafe during Halloween, Midway the Highway, Angela Sawyer's mic. I brought it there for the Halloween theme, but on general, I do everything I can to keep that and comedy in separate space. There's the reason why I never appear at a comedy show as Michael Legacy Jackson, because he doesn't do jokes. He's a music act.
Makes sense.
I'm the comedian. So unless you want Michael Legacy Jackson to open for your comedy show, then there's no reason for me to really merge the two.
Right. That makes sense.
Okay. All right.
We keep ending up with these very multi-talented individuals.
It's fun, though. I like it.
I like it.
When comedy gets too much and starts stressing me out and people are being assholes and I don't like the way women are being random, I'm like, I'm going to New Hampshire. Which is a weird thing to say, but there's a reason for it.
So I've been on this 2-year search for someone to teach me how to do the moonwalk. Could you actually teach me how to do it?
I could try.
Okay.
It's, I could try too.
All right. After we're done.
You wouldn't be the first person to ask me how to show them how to do the moonwalk.
But you can do it.
I can do it, but the thing is, to do it right, you need the right surface and the right shoes. That's the first thing.
And that's your mistake right there.
When a lot of people, now, some people are just so swift and smooth they can do it in sneakers on pavement. Okay. I spent years doing it in loafers and in dress shoes on surface. Okay. So that's how I know how to do it. I can't do it in sneakers. I'll admit that. I never learned that. I know how to do it in dance shoes. So I can show you the put pressure here, slide at this point. I can tell you the how to do it. I just can't show you in these shoes.
All right,
but I can tell you the geometrics of the moonwalk. Is that a thing?
Probably, yeah. Sure. I am not a dancer. I don't know if you can tell by looking at me, but I can tell.
I don't assume things by how people look.
No, of course not.
Even though we are in Maine.
Yeah, well. I have nothing to say to that.
All right, cool. After the podcast, teach me, please.
I just meant by how fat I am.
I mean,
actually, there was a video of a real fat guy dancing recently, and now we're going down some weird rabbit hole.
Rikishi was fat.
Yeah, sure.
He danced all night.
So there you go.
Fat people can't dance. It's white men can't jump, not fat people can't dance.
That's what it was.
Yeah, come on, get the stereotype
I'm
right.
sorry.
And even Larry Bird could get a little bit up there, so even that's not true.
Mm-hmm. Larry Bird was an all right basketball player.
Yeah, he's fine. Just barely. He got by.
Are you a Celtics fan? They're in the playoffs right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Huge Celtics fan.
Nice.
Not enough of a fan to want to throw Kyrie Irving down the escalator in front of the Garden, but definitely a fan. Definitely a fan. What? Oh, you haven't heard?
Did he flipped off the audience?
Kyrie Irving and the Celtic fans are in a bit of a rivalry right now.
Having a tiff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not big on what Kyrie did. Like boo, screw you. But I don't think I want to kill him. Some fans seem to want to do right now.
It's just a game, right? I mean,
at the end of the day, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. As a Boston sports fan, the worst thing about Boston sports is Boston sports fans. I have not forgiven us for what we did to Bill Buckner. I have not forgiven us
Well,
for...
they welcomed it back, though. That was
We forgave him
after the World Series.
for after we won a World Series. What are we forgiving him for? For botching a play that wasn't even the end of the series when it happened?
Yeah, no, that's a valid point.
That's the thing. If the series ended there, okay, fine. Yeah, and even I wouldn't have like drove him to freaking Arizona like the rest of us did. But I'd be like, okay, fine, I get what. But much like the Steve Bartman incident, that wasn't even it. We had a game 7 after the Bill Buckner game. We were up 3-0 in that game 7. If we had won that game, which we could have done because we were up 3-0, and 3-0 is a lot to win by, we would have not been talking about what happened to Bill Buckner. Man. We would have talking about beating the freaking other team in the series where Bill Buckner botched the ball.
Yep.
But
it's just too bad that it's all Buckner's fault.
Leonard's from Chicago. He has no idea what we're talking about.
Wait. You're from Chicago? Steve Bartman. That
doesn't help.
Your Bill Buckner is Steve Bartman. If anybody doesn't know who Steve Bartman is a freaking guy with glasses who was sitting on the side of the freaking field during a very crucial moment during the Cubs World Series when the Cubs were about to win the World Series, much like we were going to in '86. And Bartman reached over when the fielder was going to grab the ball, and if Bartman didn't interfere with the play, the fielder might have caught the ball, and the game would have been over about that point.
Yeah.
Thing is, there was still more baseball to play after that, so even that was not Steve Buckner. Wow.
They had to like escort that guy out of there, right?
They were going to.
He's in witness protection now. Like,
they were going to harm him, and that's the thing. If that was the end of the series, even for Chicago, if that was the end of the series, I don't think we should have reacted that way over sports.
Right. It's
not like they burned the freaking United Center to the ground, but I get it. I get why they're mad. But there was a whole other inning, whole other freaking more baseball to play, and they could have won, and they didn't. Bill Buckner botched the ball. We were up 3-0. We blew it. So that tangent being, Boston sports fans are the worst part of Boston sports. You can't ask Bill Buckner. He's dead. No, but when he was alive, you could ask Bill Buckner.
It's true, he did that.
I was going to say something awful.
No, don't say anything awful because...
Because we have some Boston listeners, right?
I'm sure we have some Boston. We might after having Lloyd on.
No, yeah.
Boston listeners know it. I'm not saying anything about the Red Sox fans that they don't already know. And as a person who lives right around the corner from Fenway for the past 20 years, I've seen them at their best and worst. I don't want to go to a Red Sox game. I'll just listen to it from outside.
I don't want to pay for going to a Red Sox game.
No, you don't.
Oh, no.
If you can get tickets.
If you can get tickets. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Parking or whatever.
Really? Fucking expensive.
Oh, man. That was a hell of a tangent.
Yes, it was. Why don't I let the host ask me some questions now? Because I've pretty much taken over their show.
No, this is how we like it. It's just a conversation.
Right, let's talk about cricket now.
Cricket? Oh, do you know anything about cricket?
No. And I'll keep it that way. I know they have a phone service, and
that's right.
And a couple of people might have a stick with it.
That's true. That's true. Let's get back to comedy, though. Yes. So you started a little over 5 years ago, almost 6. What got you started into comedy? What was the thing that you said, like, I need to get up there and I need to talk into a microphone all by myself and try to make this group of people, this room of people laugh? That's something I have to say.
Funny thing, nothing.
I don't know why people let me do it.
I just got out there and did it.
My first time at an open mic was at the Winner's Circle to watch Jay DeMille.
Oh,
because I met Jay before I started doing comedy. They were already we were already friends. Before I even knew there was an open mic scene.
Yep.
And they went to do an open mic once, and I'm in the crowd. And you both have seen me how I am when I'm not on stage. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And so Dave Radigan, who's the host of the Winner's Circle then and now, came up to me and afterwards, I think it was between him and I think Josh Day might have had a thought about it, but it was Dave who came up to me and said, "Hey, Lloyd, you got a lot of energy. You want to go up next week?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. I don't want to go. I don't want to do that. I'm just here to watch and support Jay DeMille. They're here. I'm just. Are you sure you don't want to go up? I am sure. I'm just here to watch Jay DeMille. Well, we signed you up. You're up next week. What?" And that's how I became a comedian.
That's all it takes. Wow.
Now, unlike a lot of people who have at least an idea that they want to do it, even if they don't know what they're doing or how to be good at it, they at least know going in that that's what they want to do, and they have some idea of punchlines, setups. They know the general. I had none of that. I'm like, all right, what have I said on Twitter for the last 5 years?
I was gonna say, what did you do to prepare for that first open mic?
I went on Twitter, literally went on Twitter.
Okay.
And I pulled like 35 tweets from 2010 up until 2016.
Oh, from your own feed.
From my own feed.
Oh, that's good because if you just went on somebody else's
stuff he
feed.
wrote. Yeah.
Because I've said, like, I've been told by a lot of people before, maybe since 2011, you should be a comedian. You should be. I'm like, no, that takes time. That takes time. No, no. But there's a reason people told me that, and a lot of those reasons can be found on Twitter. That's back when I actually used it. Since I became a comedian, not so much. But I pulled like 35. I think it was like 35, 40 tweets from I spent the entire week from just scouring like my entire Twitter feed as far back as maybe 2012.
Okay.
Wow.
And I just tried to pull, like, I looked through ones that, like, funny ones that were like short, that would, I had no idea what this was. I'm just like, you know what? So I took 10 of them, 10 out of 35. I pieced them together in some kind of list, and I did my best to. I put the list on OneNote, and I put it on a big screen for like 3 days, and I just read it and rehearsed it for like 3 days leading up to the winner's circle, and then I memorized it at least. So when I got there, I just recited tweets from 2012 to 2016, and
were they like one-liners, or were you actually tell like little stories?
Most of them were one-liners. The one that got the biggest laugh in the room that night actually was, and again, this is I said this in like 2013 or something, so it sounds terrible now, but it was like the first one I sent. I'm like, someone asked, "Hey, did you catch Fox News?" I said, "Yeah," and I threw it back. Which, again, that's an old. It was a joke, but it was a joke on Twitter.
Uh-huh.
They were more or less to that. They weren't all one-liners, but they were more or less like a sentence and a half. Yeah. I chose the shortest because you only have 5 minutes. So I'm like, and again, even then, I didn't understand everything that I basically know now, and frown at other comics for not doing. I was them.
That's a lot of work though for your first open mic set. Like I don't think I've ever worked that hard for any set, let alone.
well, I mean, that's the thing. Like at the time, like I had no concept of like what the tier was. So I'm like, I thought that I knew that an open mic wasn't a showcase, but I also didn't know how important an open mic was or wasn't. Sure. So I just treated it as this is the first time I'm going to do comedy on a stage.
I better bring something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
And and now that night, and I have it on DVD. The Winner's Circle has DVDs. And I every now and then I go back and it didn't go terribly. Which again, it should have been horrible. Yeah, it should have been but again, I wouldn't believe that it didn't go terribly if I didn't go back every now and then to compare my first set to what I do now for studying purposes. Yeah, it didn't go terribly. It got Dave Radigan to say you should keep on doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool.
That's all you need, right? You need that one person to say like, actually, that wasn't that bad. You might not have thought that was good,
right?
Some other people in the room might not have thought it was great, but if that one person who has
there was something there,
that special like relationship with it.
Now here's where it went from there, because what I had on Twitter was all I had as far as joke writing.
Right.
Everybody always said Lloyd has stage presence. Lloyd knows how to get people to pay attention to him. He has that, which apparently I've always had, even to this day. But if you don't have jokes, then your stage presence means nothing. Yeah, like if you can get people to look at you, you can command the attention. But if you're not, if you have nothing to say, then
it's just a speech.
Exactly. So once I ran out of Twitter jokes from 2012 to 2016. Then I had to start learning how to write.
Sure,
the Twitter era.
Yeah, exactly. Because I realized that like copying my tweets into my open mic set was only going to get me so far. Eventually, and again, this is somebody who did not know anything about what comedy was going into it.
Let's back up though. Did you watch comedians? Did you know what stand-up comedy was?
I knew what stand-up comedy was.
You were just a fan of it?
I was just a fan. Exactly. Pretty much. More or less what I am now, a fan who gets to perform sometimes.
Cool, yeah.
But like when you put me in the shoes of the ones I grew up watching, and I have no idea what I'm doing.
Who'd you grow up watching? Not to get off on a tangent again, but
Pryor, Murphy, Steve Martin, Dane Cook in 2006 and only in 2006.
He's our next guest, actually.
Dangerfield, Godfrey,
Rest in peace.
Sarah Silverman.
New Hampshire native. Mm-hmm. Maybe she's seen you do Michael Jackson.
You never know. She came in and said, "What the fuck's this?" and walked out.
It's a pretty distinguished list, though. Like, that's some really good comedy to be
I will
brought
be
up on.
Mitch Hedberg as well.
Oh, nice.
And Lewis Black.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, I will mention this, and look, if anybody says that they didn't enjoy before they knew Bill Cosby, they'd be lying.
So
I can't go back and listen. I can't view him the same way I did. But if I'm talking about who I grew up on,
yeah.
Right, of course.
If I said I didn't grow up on Bill Cosby as a comedian, I'd be lying.
So I've been collecting comedy records recently, old comedy records, and I came across a Bill Cosby one. Why Is There Air?
Yes.
And I've listened to it just recently, and it's actually pretty good.
Here's the thing.
But I mean, he was a really good comedian.
That's the problem. Like,
Yeah.
I can't sit here and condone. I mean, me of all people, the shirts I walk around in. I can't.
I know.
I can't condone what Bill Cosby did, and that's why last time I was here, I made a joke about Bill Cosby about Alibi being about as going over as well as Bill Cosby at the Women's Rights Convention. I'm not really into him the way I was, but objectively, he was good at what he did.
Yeah.
Him being good at what he did doesn't make what he did when he stopped doing what he did okay.
Right.
But to say he was a bad comedian because he's a shitty human being is something that, as a person who grew up on him, I'd be lying if I said that.
Right.
I know, but I know there are some people where it's like, well, they did a bad thing, so they're terrible at their job. No, they did a bad thing, and I don't listen to them anymore because I can't separate Bill Cosby from what he did.
Yeah.
Like, I personally can't do that. My father still watches the Cosby Show every now and then. He doesn't know as much as I do. He thinks there was only one.
Yeah.
He doesn't know. I forgive him. But like, I try to go back and listen to things like Bill Cosby himself, or It's True, which has the Spanish Fly bit, which kind of gave the game away. And I listen to these things, and it's like, I can't enjoy them the way I did when I was younger, because just knowing that as soon as he was done on stage, he was Yeah.
There's a couple jokes on that album that I found that I was listening to it, and I can't remember the specific wording or whatever, but I was like, oh no.
Oh yeah, now I get it.
I see.
As a matter of fact, one last note on Cosby.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this to Josh Goldstein and a couple of other people when I was talking about why I have a hard time listening to him. Because again, comedians always going to, they're going to hero worship, even if they know people are shitty. It's like, are you saying he's a bad comedian? Just because he's like, no. But being a good comedian doesn't excuse bad things.
Sure.
Here's what Bill Cosby said on one of his albums. It's a very obscure one, but it's called "If You Had Those of You Who Have Children, You Will Understand."
Yeah.
Now, Bill Cosby is telling this story. He is telling the audience this story as himself, ironically. He does not have to say anything that he doesn't want to. He can make himself look like a hero or a villain. It's his material. Keep that in mind as I tell you what he said.
Okay.
He's telling a story about him and his wife giving their children to talk. They have 4 girls and 1 boy, as he's told us all a million times. Yeah. So, the girls, he talks about, helping the girls to, make sure they're protected, be safe, whatever. And then his wife says to him, "So are you going to go and talk to our son now?" And he says, "Why would I do that?" Keep in mind, this is Bill Cosby telling a story from his perspective, and he's in control of what he says and what he doesn't say. Why would he say this unless it was there may be somewhat true? I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue. Here's what happened. Bill says his wife. Now he's also telling us what his wife said. So he's basically making himself look like a misogynist in this story, but he's telling the story, and his wife looks like the hero in the story he's telling. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So his wife says, well, in case he decides to go out and try to get a girl into trouble, and he says, "Well, that's not the boy's problem." And even in the crowd.
Wait, he said that?
Yes. It's on YouTube.
No.
It's on YouTube. Those of you with children, you will understand. It is on YouTube. You can find it. It's also on the album because it was an album.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But here's the thing. when he says that, you can hear the audience go, oh. The audience, Bill Cosby's audience is turning on him in real time, audibly on his own album.
Yeah.
He continues.
Like, Dr. Huxtable.
He said his wife, and now again, this is Bill Cosby's wife as Bill Cosby's telling it. So again, either Bill Cosby is making himself look like an ass, the villain on purpose, or this conversation actually happened.
Okay.
Bill Cosby's wife, according to Bill Cosby, says, "Why would you say that?" And Bill Cosby says, "Well, I mean, it's how it is when it comes to boys and girls. If you're a girl, you're like a goalie. You got to keep a guy from scoring on you."
Oh man. Oh man. Oh,
again, people, it's on YouTube. Look it up. Now, here's what Bill Cosby's wife, again, according to Bill Cosby, this is what his wife said. He's telling the story. He didn't even stop. The audience is groaning. He doesn't even stop. He keeps going. He said, Bill Cosby's wife said, "Okay, well, if that's how you feel, just know that if he gets a girl into some trouble and a child comes from that, you're going to be the one to take care of him. So go encourage our son to have big fun on a goal." And at that point, Bill Cosby says, "All right, I'll go talk to him."
Yeah.
So only when Bill Cosby realizes that he might be responsible for a child that his son has does he decide that it's worth telling his son to not go take advantage of women.
I don't even know where to go from here.
At that point, I couldn't separate Bill Cosby from the artist because Bill Cosby, the artist, basically just outed himself as a misogynist by his own choice in front of his own audience.
Yeah, but a lot of comedians have terrible jokes like that. They don't.
But they're not all Bill Cosby with Bill Cosby's track record.
No, that is true.
I get it now. Bill Cosby's not a good person.
Yeah.
And he basically admitted that on stage. Once I heard that bit, I couldn't separate it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, it's too real.
Okay.
In other news.
All right, so let's move on to Louis C.K.
So I didn't get my first book show until 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by that point, I was ready.
Yeah.
Like I spent 2 years, again, not knowing having the writing to match my stage presence. I spent 2 years trying to figure that out.
All right. Well, what was your process of your writing? What was your writing process to get to that through that 2 years? Because a lot of the listeners are new comedians,
right?
Hopefully, listeners, and they're always looking for tips on how to crack that code, so to speak.
Well, I wouldn't give them any tips from that period, but what I will say is, see, when I first,
you can talk about mistakes you made.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah,
because when I first started, there was I was getting advice from a lot of. I was at the Winter Circle for my first 8 or 9 months before I made it into. I mean, I didn't know there was a Boston comedy scene. I just knew that the Winter Circle was all I knew until I met Justin P. Drew, who brought me kind of into Boston. So I'm basically around a lot of older, veteran types of this is how you do it, kid. And I don't know any better, so I'm listening to them. And some of them, not all of them, but the ones I was around more often said, you should less punchlines, be more of a storyteller. Now, initially, less punchlines as a comedian sounded weird.
Yeah,
but
it does sound weird.
But I'm less than 3 months in, so I don't know any better. So that didn't work. And then, I was on stage, and I think Dave Radigan did this deliberately because he knew I was going to have my own. He knew I was going to have fun with it. I was on stage at the Winter Circle on election night in 2016. Now, Dave Radigan had been following what I had been saying online up to that point, and I think he deliberately moved me to that because I asked for a date later in the month, and he moved me to that date because I think he knew that I wasn't going to go by any kind of script. If I was going to be on stage on election night, I was going to go off the handle. I was just going to shoot from the hip, and I did.
All right.
And that was up to that point the best set I had ever done.
Oh,
because it was a set that I was actually doing in my own voice, not in a manner that I was being told. And again, the manner I was being told was less punchlines.
Yeah.
I did it. That's the first time I ever spoke in my own voice, the voice that I would later find in late 2017.
Interesting.
So what I did basically was try to build off of that. That night that I actually worked on election night in 2016. I took that and I'm like, okay, how does that sound different to everything I've done up to this point that wasn't working? And that night I realized that I was more me.
Yeah.
I was less I was restrained to a point, even on stage now. I'm not I'm more myself than I was then, but if I can't be myself completely because who I am in real life, as you can see, is a ball of energy that cannot do comedy in a succinct and timely enough manner to connect with an audience. I had to slow it down a little bit, ramp it up when needed.
Yeah, if you went 5 minutes like what you just did with the other subject that we were talking about,
right?
People would be like, "What the hell just happened?"
Exactly. Like there needs to
They'd
be
shocked.
Yeah, exactly. There needed to be a translation from real life to the stage. And again, in real life, naturally, I'm like this.
Yeah.
But on stage, I needed to be more of this, but not as much.
Right.
So I spent 2017 trying to find the balance. How do I bring more of myself to this? Because when I brought more of myself to the stage, that worked.
Yep.
And I noticed that. How do I do more of that, but in a manner that translates to a performance style?
It is a tricky balancing act.
It is, especially when you're naturally energetic.
Yeah.
And like if you're naturally, if you are Stephen Wright naturally, then all you got to do is say funny things, and you have the pacing down.
Right, exactly.
I had to find a pacing balance, and I had to find a writing that catered to the stage presence that I already had.
Yeah. And you had to take a breath.
Yeah, exactly. You're not supposed to talk over the laughter in this stage, and you also have to make sure that they can hear the funny things you say, which that brings me to late 2017.
Okay.
Because Mike McDonald gave me the best advice I'd ever gotten from anybody at the Winner's Circle.
Pretty legendary comedian in the Boston circle of comedians, I would say.
And he gave me the best advice any comedian has ever given me before or since then. He said, Lloyd, people can advise you on whether or not you're funny. People can advise you on whether or not you're doing well or not doing well. But no matter what you do up there, whether you suck up there, whether you do great up there, nobody can tell you how to go on stage and do it as yourself. Nobody can tell you how to be you.
It's good advice.
Once you figure out who you are, whether you're meant to do this or not, you'll at least be you.
Right.
But nobody can tell you how to go on stage and do this as yourself. That clicked.
Nice. Yeah.
That's good.
Because up to that point, I was trying to emulate so many other things that I thought comedy was.
Yeah.
But I had never really, except for that night on election night, I had never tried to do comedy completely as myself. And so 2018 rolls around. I took Sterling Smith's workshop, which Kathy Ferris was also a frequenter at. And between the two of them, that's where I learned don't talk over laughter.
Yep.
Learn to be able to sit in the beat pausing.
Yep.
Which is something that according to other people, I've apparently mastered now. I'll get on stage with the gimmick belt or whatever, and people will be reacting before I even say anything. But at the time, that wasn't going.
Yeah.
People would say, Lloyd, you're like by this point, 2017, late 2017 through 2018, my writing is coming together, but the delivery and cadence wasn't there.
Yeah.
Kathy Ferris is saying, Lloyd, you're saying funny things, but they're getting lost because you're not stopping.
Right.
You gotta slow down. You gotta pace yourself, and you have the stage presence, and your writing's gotten a lot better, but you gotta learn to take it in steps.
Yep.
Take it in steps.
Yep.
Say something, hit the punchline, see if there's any laughter, let it breathe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So by the time I got done with her workshop in 2018, here's how we got to where I am kind of now.
Yeah.
Did the workshop, gave me what I needed as far as, okay, this works, that doesn't, and then Boston comedy happened. And then I'll leave it at that. For about 2 months, made me angry, made me upset, wasn't really happy with the scene and things like that. I came back in April of 2018, did a set at Jack's Cabaret, Sunday Funday open mic. Back when Penny Osborne was hosting it. Yeah. And I did my first set ever in the incarnation of myself that I am now. Yeah. Where there was jokes, there was pausing, there was waiting, there was awkward staring into the distance that made people react without knowing where is this going to go. It's the first time I ever heard someone say, "Where is this going?" Because now I hear it all the time.
That was the heckle?
Yes. And in the years since, I always hear one of the great things about Lloyd is that you never know where he's going to go. You don't know where this is going. He makes you want to pay attention. But that was the first night I ever heard somebody say, "I didn't know where that was going. Where is this going?" But I had come back. I had written a set that was tailored to how I was feeling at the time, and the set was like it was along the lines of I was basically saying "F you" to Boston comedy, and ironically that set got me over.
Yeah,
with Boston comedy, because I was like, so imagine I thought Boston comedy was a place where you could have peace and tranquility. Apparently, I'm stupid AF. Here's what I've learned about Boston comedy. Let's call Boston comedy a restaurant. And if I were to go into this restaurant and I ordered enough, and then they bring me enough. And then they also bring me a side order of enough. And then they bring me a little bit of enough on the side of that. So what I'm trying to say is I have had more than enough of Boston comedy. That was the best set I had ever had up to that point in a comedy mic environment. That was the night that Sarah Francis, who was with me, and Laura Burns, gave me my first ever show at the Art Lounge in Arlington. They came out of there saying, like, Sarah Francis said, that wasn't Lloyd we saw up there. And then Laura Burns said, no, that was Lloyd, but with the volume turned up. Which is ironically the same way people used to describe The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was just Dwayne Johnson and Steve Williams with the volume turned up. So having somebody say that, somebody who was not a wrestling fan, by the way, having somebody say that and make that connection was like, all right, this is I hit the sweet spot. This is where you're going. And then 2 months after that, I got my first show.
Nice.
And on my way out of the building that night, I got my second show.
Beautiful.
And I guess the rest is history.
As they say, history.
Yes.
And then you're here with us in this dirty basement.
That draws people every freaking time I've been here. So don't sell yourselves short, River Comics.
In the first floor of Grayskull Castle.
And people come here.
Oh, they do. They love it here.
Yeah.
Because we bring good comedians here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Orko's going to do a guest set tonight.
Who is?
Orko.
Oh, my goodness. That's a hell of a story, man. I mean, and it's a short period of time, too, which is the crazy part. Like, most of the people we talk to are within that 10-year range of comedy and whatnot. And it's always shocking to me, like, how quickly people figure it out. And how badly, like, once you catch that bug, how much the people want it, and it sounds like you did the same thing. Like you got up there, you had a good experience to begin with, and then it kind of trickled out and petered out and whatnot. But then you finally figured it out. You got into a groove, and then now you're having a great time, and you've created a character of which is more or less yourself.
A theatrically exaggerated version of myself.
Yeah, exactly. And it's great to see. It's really fun.
And that's the other thing I realized is that in that first 2-year period, I knew I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't try. Like, I didn't try to go for any bookings. And that's something I've noticed now. People are like, if I don't get an hour special in 6 months, I'm done.
Right? Yeah. Like, what are you thinking? In 6 months, like you barely get your feet wet.
Exactly. And I'm like, and even though I have a certain standard of what I think is funny. Yeah. And again, I think a lot of things are funny because I'm a fan more than I am, more than a lot of comics are. I'll laugh at things that most comics won't because I'm a fan.
Right.
But even to my standard of what people think is funny, I try not to be people come to me for advice and tips and on comedy, which is weird.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, okay, here's my experience. This isn't how you do it.
Right.
Because I've heard that before.
Right.
This isn't how you do it. This is where I've been. But what I will say for myself versus other people is that I notice people feel like if they're not getting booked, they're not succeeding.
Yeah.
And I realized if I felt like that 2 years, again, I was doing it for 2 years before I even got one show.
Right.
If I had the attitude of if I don't get my first hour in 6 months or if I don't get a booked show within a year, then I failed, I wouldn't be here.
No, exactly.
Right.
But I feel like you have to, I had to be ready. If I had gotten my first opportunity, which is your first impression.
Right.
While I was doing Twitter jokes,
it wouldn't have gone well.
No. And I felt better for having waited 2 years. Because again, in 2018, from that first show, I got 30 shows that year. Wow. I did 79 the next year. I did 40 shows in the year that we shall not speak of.
Yeah.
I did 67 or 68 shows in 2021. And so far this year, I'm approaching like almost 40.
And we're only in April.
Exactly.
So
but I'm like, if I had the mentality of if I don't get my first show my first year, then I'm going to quit. Yeah. It's like if I didn't have my first show when I did, I probably wouldn't be considered good enough for anything I've accomplished since.
You're a positive energy kind of guy, though, aren't you? I mean, like,
I try.
so like, you might be the person that doesn't get discouraged ever. I mean, at what point did you get discouraged, if at all, ever?
I think the reason why I don't get discouraged when it comes to comedy is because I don't really compare what I'm doing to what anybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do. Like I'm not
for sure.
I don't mean to like
especially in a scene like Boston.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't say that to because I know that's a lot of comics deal with that. I don't mean to exalt myself or diminish people who deal with that because it can be hard to do. Yeah. But if Sarah Martin ever hears this, she'll know what I mean. I don't care about my stage time as much as I care about quality comedy on stages.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah,
that's really something that I say that because Sarah Martin had to sit me down for an hour in Worcester before she left to go to the West Coast, and that entire hour was basically her telling me that I'm too unselfish. You are such a great comedian. You're a great comedian who's only going to get better, but you spend so much time advocating for this person and advocating for that person and trying to help out this person and trying to get this person seen, but you don't advocate for yourself, which she was not wrong about.
Right.
Like I'm not saying she was wrong. And the fact that Sarah Martin, someone she's
pretty good.
Who I will die and never be as good as she is, in my opinion. The fact that she's pulling me aside and telling me that I'm not advocating for as good as I am as a performer, that meant a lot. But if she noticed that's my barometer.
Yeah.
She noticed that I was spending more time focused on the scene thriving than I was trying to get on shows. And because of that, I can't get discouraged.
Right.
Because there's no if I don't accomplish this or if this doesn't happen, then I don't want it. Like there is none of that. Like if I did 79 in 2009, if I did 4 and they were good, I'd be all right with that.
Fine. Yeah.
If I did because some people do a lot more than that. Some people do 200 shows a year, and that's great. I don't know how they breathe, but that's wonderful. I'm like, I'd rather have 79 good shows than 200 shows and only 79 of them were good.
Right.
So because I'm a fan first, I don't get discouraged because what I'm doing is I don't want to be a star. So I don't approach this the same way that a lot of other people do. And there is nothing that I cannot accomplish that will make me feel like I'm a failure if I don't get there.
Right.
If I'm doing this, if I'm a traveling comedian doing local shows like here, I did my first show in New York at the end of March. Nice. I'm trying to branch out a little bit more, but if I never make it to a status where I'm on Netflix, if I'm not a headliner in 2 years or whatever, if I'm doing things like being the feature in the middle of the card, 10 to 15, 20 minutes for the person that's going to bring it home, if I'm just doing that from now and you always want to get better at what you're doing.
Right.
Like I want to become better as a comic. But if the position that I'm in hasn't skyrocketed beyond belief by 2023, I'm not going to call it quits.
Right. Yeah.
And because of that, I can't be discouraged by any ceiling I don't reach.
Nice. You live by the adage that the rising tide lifts all boats.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And again,
I like that.
I just rather see. There's a lot of times I'll watch. I just want to be in the building.
Yeah.
Like there was a time where I didn't even know if I was going to live to see tomorrow. So being a part of something like this is not something I ever thought I would even have the opportunity to do. And to think that I'm entitled to anything is a bit above my not above my pay grade, but above my attitude grade. Because for people who I see so many shows, some of them are really good and some of them are just like, oh, well, there's a white guy that started off talking about women being the problem. That won the room over surely. And then here comes another guy that says, hey, listen, Biden and Trump, how about it? And I'm like, yeah, that's solid shit. And then then the third guy is a dick joke generator that I found on AOL 5 years ago. And then the fourth guy is a person who's going to come up here and tell us that, we need to respect the flag and then walk off stage because that's the punchline. And then there's another person who's going to...
You've been to a lot of bad open mics.
Yes. And it's like, when I look at comedy as a whole, because not everybody can be on every single card in the country every single night.
Right.
So if I'm not on a card on any given night, I at least want to know that whoever is on, whatever audiences are going to see comedy, that they're going to see a good show.
Yeah.
And a lot of my focus since I've been here has been towards that end. I just want people who are talented to get opportunities so that when people go to see shows, they see good shows. And if I'm not on a card at the Comedy Studio or here or in Cape or wherever, at least I know that whoever went to the Comedy Studio, whoever went to Crap Brew, whoever went to, to Alchemy, whoever went to anywhere, at least I know they're going to get a good show.
Right.
Now, I, as one person, can't make that happen completely, but that has been my goal more than getting on shows.
Beautiful.
That's good. That's a great goal. Yeah. Awesome.
I wish we had better goals like that. No, we do. I think we definitely are in that same vein, same thought process as that. We just want to put on good shows. We love doing comedy.
Exactly.
Making a room full of people laugh and sitting in the back and just like, oh yeah, we had
taking it in.
Oh yeah.
And not being on stage every night also gives you a chance to do things like write.
Yeah.
And sleep and properly nourish and go to therapy if that's what you have, which I do, and take your medication, which I have, and have
self-care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Not being on stage every night on every show. Hey, when you have either nothing to say or don't have the energy to do it, there are other things you can do.
That's right.
Like performing in front of a bunch of bikers in New Hampshire as Michael Jackson.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. We got to go check that out.
Yeah, if you teach me how to moonwalk, I'm all over that.
Nice.
All right. Lloyd, thank you very much. If you're familiar with our podcast, we like to end our interviews with a segment we call Curse the Darkness. I'm not sure you're capable of complaining about anything, but so the idiom goes, I'd rather light a candle than curse the darkness. So it means do something about my problems instead of just complaining about it. Mm-hmm. So we if you think you possibly could, actually complain about something that you don't plan on burning any calories to fix.
Yeah, it's a good. I actually was considering that because I don't even know if I could narrow it down to that wording. I'd rather light a candle than but something to complain about.
Yeah. That you're not gonna fix because you fix a lot of things. It seems like.
Yeah, I do my best. But I see that it's gonna take more than me and 100 like me.
Army of Lloyd Legacy.
For better and for worse, I think one of me is enough. Although some people would disagree. Before I answer that question, there was one person on Facebook who said in 2015, his name is Vincent Olmos, and he said, we need a Lloyd Legacy in every state. That way there's 50 legacies out there doing the good work. That post is actually on Facebook. It comes up.
Nothing wrong with that.
It comes up in my memories every year, and I'm like, well, it would make getting around easier. I don't know where the gene therapists are.
You can complain about getting your car stolen out of Dorchester.
If there's anything I could complain about, I know something I can complain about that I'm unable to fix. I'm going to say that. I'm going to modify the rules. Something that I'm unable, because I don't know anything that I don't like that I have not tried to fix at some point, or at least made an effort to not add to as a problem.
Yeah, I get it. Okay.
I don't like men very much.
Uh-oh. Wait a minute.
Now, before anybody goes on, cancel Lloyd, he doesn't like men. Get Tucker Carlson on this guy. No, here's the thing.
That's our go-to. We're gonna bring Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, we're gonna have him make a man.
Out in Maine.
We're gonna have him make a man out of Lloyd. No, here's the thing. You know what? I'll center it into comedy.
Sure.
I'll tie the two. I don't like creepy, exploitive, harassing, bordering on more than just harassing male entities in power in the comedy community. Mm-hmm. And I will not do anything to fix it because I've already done everything that I can, and I know that it won't be fixed by just me. Yeah. So it's not that I won't fix it, but I know that just me won't fix it. So no matter what I do to not add to it, it won't be fixed by anything that I do.
I'm with you there.
If we have 49 other Lloyds, then
yeah,
maybe
they gotta be keeping watch over some of these people.
Yeah. It gets I can complain about that, and I will forever or until I'm dead, whatever comes first.
No, I believe you there, and I'm with you there, and I think present company included. right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I was gonna say,
No. It was like, no. I'm all.
Leonard's all about
whatever makes him. If it worked for Cosby, it can work for me. Like, no, don't do it.
I just want you to finish the sentence. I wasn't. I'll edit out that awkward pause.
No. I just.
I was trying not to talk over you, but yes, Nick, I agree.
Very definitive.
No, it's tough to watch sometimes. So,
It is.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's the business side of comedy.
Yep.
Part of the business. I love the art form, hate the business. That's in general, but like that side of the business is unnecessary.
Yep.
Because the business is necessary to a degree, even if we don't like it.
Yep.
But that part of the business does not need to be. It always has been. I know it always, unfortunately, will be. But it's the one part that's not necessary.
Right.
Booking, which is a nightmare in itself, as you two know.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's terrible.
Can we just stop talking about booking?
It's terrible but necessary.
Yeah.
Dealing with venues, terrible but necessary.
Yeah.
Dealing with comedians, terrible but necessary. That shit, terrible and not necessary.
Correct.
It does not contribute to anything going on here at all.
100%.
All right.
That's my opinion.
We like it. We love it.
Bill Cosby would disagree, but I don't care. He's not here.
Just when
One parting shot.
just when we thought it was safe.
Thank you, Lloyd, for being on our podcast.
Yes,
thank you for
so
being on our
much.
shows.
Oh,
I
wow.
really appreciate you.
This is fun. Thank you for having me on here, and thank you for letting me do this room so often.
You're welcome.
Oh, love to have you.
Our pleasure.
It's been great. Can't wait. By the way, if you're listening to this, we're about to have just you're going to hear this after the show's over,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, sure.
we are about to have just been done a comedy show, so you should come here every Friday and Saturday to Crab Brew Underground if you're looking for some fun in Maine.
Excellent.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Well done. It was almost like it was on a script.
Give us that printout back. Thank you.
Thanks, Lloyd.
Thank you very much, Lloyd.
Thank you.
Lloyd Legacy Sharp, everyone.
Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for listening. That was Lloyd Legacy Sharp, a friend of the River Comics and a friend of comedy in general. Really enjoyed having him on and getting a chance to know him better.
Yes, his sincere energy is really incredible. I really enjoyed having him on.
Yeah, he's something else. And if you have a chance to check him out, look for him on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or whatever else he has. Just query him up, and you'll find him pretty quickly. He's quite prolific on the social media, and a fun guy to be around. So anyway, I was killing time because Leonard couldn't find his sheet.
Indeed.
Hurry before your phone shuts off again. Oh no, Leonard's joking. So anyway, Lloyd is such a nice guy. And I really wish he could be on every show that we have. And I hope Leonard's on another show someday after he gets out of the hospital.
Thanks to everyone who listened. Tell your friends and follow Comedy Think Tanked wherever you can. Be sure to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Find us on Instagram at Comedy Think Tanked, Twitter at Comedy Tanked, and our website, comedythinktanked.com. Email us at comedythinktanked@gmail.com. Good day.
Perfect.
Theme music was written and produced by a minor, Ralph Birgfeld. No comedians were hurt in the production of this podcast. All audio snippets of actual funny punchlines were not written or performed by any of us or our subsidiaries. Rather, they are express written bits of professionals we admire. Let the civil actions be filed. Any opinion heard, actual or implied, is that of the Comedy Think Tank producers and their guests. Any slight, insult, affront, slur, disparaging remark, snub, rebuff, rejection, or spurning, no matter how derogatory, pejorative, or abusive you may feel it is, was not intended, but for comedic, entertaining purposes only. Thanks for listening.
I don't care about my stage time as much as I care about quality comedy on stages.